This is for you if you are in a job or if you're in a career that you don't really enjoy. I felt like I was giving away myself too much in exchange for what I was earning. Despite earning more than double of what I was previously earning, I still felt that I was sacrificing myself for what I was doing for the company. You have something called an energetic blueprint as a human being, that your action only has a 5% impact on your result. So your childhood experiences are still impacting your adult life. Nobody but myself holds the key to the change that I seek in my life. That if you want different outcomes in your job, in your career, in whatever it is that you are doing, you have to shift the energetic patterns, and that is when everything in your life will start transforming. This is for you if you are in a job or if you're in a career that you don't really enjoy. My corporate career started in the year 2007, and I still remember the anxiety that I was undergoing because there was always pressure to start earning money. For those of who might be familiar with my story, I grew up in a household with 3 siblings. My family faced a financial downturn in the early years of my childhood, and my parents weren't really able to come up, do the financial recovery, right? But again, I keep saying that I don't blame them because I believe they did the best they could. And of course, the conditioning was that you should get a corporate job. So of course, there was pressure because after completing university, I didn't want to rely financially on my parents. You always just want to become independent so that you can take off that burden from them. And I joined a local bank here in Nairobi, Kenya. And I was very excited because I knew I had the drive, I had the zeal that yes, now this is where my life begins and I want to climb the corporate ladder. So that was my vision in my mind, that I'd love to climb the corporate ladder someday, become a director and earn in millions, right? Isn't that what most of us want? And well, things went differently, not as planned. And this is exactly what I'm going to be talking to you about today. Now, what happened is that when I joined this local bank in 2007, now, of course, I was a beginner in my career. So I needed a lot of training, right? And I had to be reporting to a lot of supervisors. What happened is that over time, I started getting frustrated because I felt like I can do better, right? I can be in a better position. I can work with better colleagues. Now, some of the things that really bothered me were, things like self-sacrifice. I felt like I was giving away myself too much in exchange for what I was earning. So I felt that what I was earning wasn't enough compensation for the amount of energy and time that I was giving in return. And of course, you'd think that, yeah, but that's just how it works, right? But this is what I want you to understand, that no, it does not have to work like that. And I'm going to come to what can exactly change if you want your life to look different, right? You can be in the same job, you can be in the same career, but things can look completely different. But I'm going to come to that. So I started feeling frustrated because there's even politics, right? In corporates, there's a lot of politics. So that's another thing that I suffered from. So I stayed in that job for only about 2 years and I changed jobs thinking that the next one is going to be better. So the same thing started repeating. So I had a very mean boss. He would really insult all of us. He would really humiliate all of us. I had supervisors who I didn't really get along with that much. And I started feeling frustrated. And after about 3 to 4 years of being in that job, I started feeling like I'm sacrificing myself too much in return for what I'm doing. I felt like whatever I was being paid. Now, note the difference that when I was in my initial job, when I transitioned to the next job, I was actually being paid more than double. All right. So note what I'm telling you, that despite earning more than double of what I was previously earning, I still felt that I was sacrificing myself for what I was doing for the company. This is exactly what might be happening to you. Not what might be, it is exactly what's happening to you. Now, over time, so I also left that job and I moved to different jobs. So every job that I would go to, I would face the same corporate politics. I would face the same frustration of feeling like I'm sacrificing myself, right? Now, what happened over the years, I started noticing that these patterns were repeating, right? So the same thing kept happening. My boss would not be very cooperative, or he'd look down upon me, or my colleagues would give me a difficult time, or I'd feel like, oh, I'm doing too much in return for too little money. So every other job, I went with a bit of pay rise, overall my income had actually stagnated, at a certain level, but progressively over the years I had earned a bit more. I would say a bit more, not as much as I actually wanted to earn. So despite that, I was still feeling very frustrated, and I felt like I was giving away too much of myself in return for what I was getting. So what I want you to understand is that it's not the situations and external circumstances that are running your life, your patterns in your job, your conditions in your job, whatever it is that's happening to you, right? The experiences that you're having in your life. The truth is that you have unconsciously committed to these situations and circumstances without your knowledge. And none of this got revealed to me until I started doing the work that I now do. Now, this is what happens. You have something called an energetic blueprint as a human being. Now, you exist at 4 levels. So, I'm going to take you through these 4 levels because I want you to understand how exactly things happen in your life. Why do you have certain experiences? Why is it that other people don't face corporate politics? They get along so well with the directors and the bosses. Oh, I had a lot of those people, and who are constantly getting promoted, who would get all these bonuses and commissions. And I would never get any of that, right? And I would be looked down upon while other people are being respected. And then that's when I went to search for answers, that despite changing all these jobs, why am I still facing the same frustrations? And that's where I came across this information. And today I want to share this with you because you have to understand that it has nothing to do with your external situations, conditions, and circumstances. So here's how we all operate. So we operate on 4 levels. So whenever we face a challenge in our life, what's the first thing we do? We try to change it by taking action, by trying to do something different. And that's exactly what I tried to do. So you exist at an action level. And what did I do? I tried changing jobs. I switched companies, thinking that the next one will be better. Maybe I'll not face as much politics. Maybe my bosses will be better. Maybe my colleagues will be better. So that's exactly what everybody does, right? Now, I want you to understand that your action only has a 5% impact on your results. And that's exactly what happened to me. But I didn't find out until much later that that's exactly what was happening. And then you also exist at a mind level. Now, your mind has 2 parts to it. So, there is your body through which you're taking action, right? So that's the action part of it. And then you have something called your conscious mind, which only has a 5% impact on all your outcomes. Now, what did I do? I went to get a degree, an MBA, because I thought that if I get an MBA, my pay is going to uh, multiply. But that's not what happened. I actually ended up working harder than ever because now the expectations from somebody who holds an MBA were actually higher. So I said to myself, oh my God, this has become even harder because the more I want to earn, the harder I need to work, right? And guess what? I found out later that that's not actually true. It does not have to be your truth. So what ultimately I realize is that your conscious mind only has a 5% impact on your outcomes. So it doesn't matter how many degrees, qualifications, skills, or talents you have. It has hardly an impact on your income. And this is exactly what happened to me because I underwent all these trainings in the corporate world. I had all the skills, talents, and abilities. In fact, now I remember as I'm recording this video that one of my bosses actually told me that Shalini, you're such a hard worker, and I'm going to give you a raise of 10,000 shillings for the whole year. And I was like, wow, for all that hard work, I only get 10,000 shillings. Of course, I appreciated it. But what I'm trying to tell you is that your hard work does not necessarily result in the income that you would like. So there's an easier way. So let me continue with the 4 levels that I was talking about. So then I discovered that we have something called our subconscious mind. Now your subconscious mind is filled with ideas that you picked up in childhood. Now I just want to take you back. Remember at the beginning of the video I mentioned that my dad actually faced a financial downturn because he lost his business in a fire, and our family had to readjust the way we were operating. So my parents had to get jobs which they never had before. Now transitioning from a business to a job itself was very difficult. And to add to that, they didn't have any degrees. So you can imagine that people who do not have degrees are not even paid that much, right? So what happened is that they started working for really long hours for very little pay. So these are the ideas that I actually absorbed into my subconscious mind. So when I was in the corporate world, despite having an MBA, I was trying to put in more effort with very little increment. So do you see how your childhood experiences can actually result into your adult life. This is exactly what happens. So your childhood experiences are still impacting your adult life. So this is what I want you to understand. So these are the ideas that I had in my subconscious mind. Now your subconscious mind drives your behavior. All right. So that is exactly what I was doing. What I was doing is I thought that if I change jobs, if I put in more hours, I'm going to earn more money. But that's not what happened. And that's when I learned about something called the energetic blueprint. Now, your energetic blueprint is that part of you that actually stores the patterns from the ideas that are generated in your subconscious mind from childhood. So, these are patterns that are stored in your body as emotions. All right. So, whatever experiences that you are having, the corporate politics that you're experiencing, the bosses that don't respect you, that you don't feel comfortable around, the colleagues that are not cooperative, the income that you are not earning, all the struggles, the sacrifice that you are facing in terms of you giving yourself away for very little money in exchange for the effort that you are putting, has everything to do with your energetic blueprint. So I want you to understand that you hold the power. Now, when I heard this information, I was the happiest person alive because I said I do not need to rely on anybody externally to change my life. I hold the power to do this. So I want you to understand that you are running. If you are somebody who is struggling in your job, who feels like you're working too hard, then you are running the struggle and sacrifice patterns in you. And there are a lot of us who don't ask for the pay that we deserve. So that's a pattern called playing small. So you are running that pattern, playing small, that's actually in your energetic blueprint. And until you don't let go that pattern and transform that energy, you will not see a change in wherever it is that you're working. So you can try changing jobs. Yes, I know that a lot of things feel better, when we go into a new place. And that's another experience that I had. So, I kept changing a lot of these jobs, and just within the first 6 months, I would know that I'm not going to be able to stay here. So the first 6 months would be a very nice honeymoon stage, right? Because you're still trying to adjust, you're getting to know people, you're being introduced to all the new systems and products, and you're very excited to start over with this new job and new position that you've gotten. But after 6 months, I would instantly start experiencing the same events and outcomes that I was in the previous jobs. And that's when I went to search and I found out that everything that happens in your life is nothing but a reflection of the patterns that you're holding in your energetic blueprint. And ladies and gentlemen, this is when I started working on myself, and I said that nobody but myself holds the key to the change that I seek in my life. And that is when I found my mentor, and he undertook me through this process, and everything in my life started changing. Now, I want you to know that I transitioned from these different jobs into my own practice, meaning I am now a consultant with Bob Proctor's institution, and I help people live the life that they desire, achieve the results that they wish to desire in their careers and in their businesses. But this is not about changing jobs. This is not what I'm saying, that it's not about changing your job, or it's not about transitioning into entrepreneurship. Of course, you can do that because that's what will help you get into your highest potential. But this is about changing your energetic blueprint. It's about working on yourself from a deeper level. Now, a lot of you may hear about subconscious reprogramming, but I want you to understand that the energetic blueprint runs a layer way deeper than the subconscious programming. And this is exactly what you need to target if you wish to earn the income that you desire, if you wish to have the relationships that you want, if you want to achieve the health levels that you are looking for, all right? Because these are ideas that are running deep in your energetic blueprint. Your energetic blueprint runs patterns that form a quantum field around you, and your quantum field is what is creating your reality. Now, what was happening to me? Did you hear what I said? That I had the same experiences in 8 jobs. Was that by chance? It was not chance, it was not my bad luck. It was simply my energetic blueprint giving me the outcomes that were running as patterns in my system. All right. So you are subscribed to certain ideas in your energy field. There is a certain energy that's in your energetic blueprint that's actually creating this quantum field that leads to your reality. So I want you to understand that if you want different outcomes in your job, in your career, in whatever it is that you are doing, you have to shift the energetic patterns that are in your energetic blueprint. You have to subscribe to a different idea, to a different pattern. And that is when everything in your life will start transforming. So I've had people who've had very different experiences in the same jobs, people I've worked with, and people who've transitioned from their jobs into different businesses. And in less than a year, they've been able to see exponential results. Why? Because they've simply started subscribing to different ideas. And what I want you to understand is that this is not at a mental level. This is not about affirmations. This is not about journaling. This is not about visualizing. Yes, all this helps you, but this is about shifting your frequency from your energetic blueprint level that will actually help you subscribe to a completely different reality. All right. So if this is something that resonated with you, I'd like you to share this video within your network. And I also want to invite you to join my community and be a part of my program so that you can experience the transformation and you can start enjoying the reality that you desire.